Hey folks, welcome back to Leader Talk. I'm SEAC retired John Wayne Troxell here, and this week we are going to cover the topic of leadership. This is part of a three-part series that started with my last episodes of Mindset. We're going to talk leadership now, and then we're going to finish off with building cohesive teams. So let's talk leadership and the art of it. I've broken this down into three segments and three topics. It's leader presence, leader performance, and leader persistence. So first of all, when we talk leader presence, the most important thing a leader does is making the culture of the organization count. And when we talk about the culture of the organization, it is everything. It is how you think, what you value, what you believe, what you say, and what you do. And as a leader, it's shaping the appearance, the attitude, the language of those that you lead that are consistent with the culture of the organization, whether that's in the military or business or whatever. And the idea with the culture and the leader's importance with it and the leader presence is you're developing a culture that is about winning, that's about outpacing the competition. That's, in a military context, getting your service members to be prepared for the conditions they could face on the worst day of their life in combat. It's about building a culture of excellence and a culture of positivity. We talked a lot about positivity in the mindset segment. It goes hand in hand with leadership and leaders developing the culture of the organization. And when we talk about presence, some people think of it in the common term of presence. Are you where you're supposed to be? Are you at the appropriate time to be where you're supposed to be as a leader? That's just a tiny part of it, okay? Being at the points of friction as a leader are important so that you can do hands-on supervision or management. But if you've built trust within your organization, you've developed subordinate leaders that they understand the mission and they understand your vision and everything, which we talked a lot about on mindset, then you don't necessarily have to be on top of that situation. You can be at a position where you can best, in a military context, command and control, or in a business context, how do you prepare for what's coming in the future while your subordinate leaders and employees are focusing on the day-to-day operations that make the business hum. So leader presence is about the aura you carry about yourself. Are you authentic as a leader? Are you genuine in your demeanor and in your approach? Too many times I see leaders that try to use smoke and mirrors because of their personal insecurity or because they're trying to mask a quality they don't have. They're trying to mask that. So they try to do things that will provide a best perspective to their subordinates on who they are and how they are as a leader, which may not be completely accurate. So as a leader, first and foremost, if you want to gain the trust of your people, you got to be authentic and genuine. You got to be you so people understand who you are. And when it comes to leader presence, there is no days that it's okay for a leader to be moody, all right? You don't get that privilege as a leader. You don't get to come in and maybe because you're having a bad day, you're in a foul mood and expect your subordinates to try and figure out how to approach you that day because you're in a bad mood. No, all right? You take adversity, you take things with a grain of salt that happen to you. And when you are putting yourself in front of your subordinates, it's a perspective that they expect out of you, your authenticity. The other thing is, as a leader, with your presence, how do you motivate people? Just by when you show up. How do you get people to all of a sudden want to take on difficult tasks and things like that? Well, it's because you've set the culture in the organization. And you as a leader, through your actions, what you think, what you say, and how you perform, which we'll get into in the next segment, is going to go a long way with getting after that. So being a leader of presence is all about carrying that aura of a winning attitude, of striving for excellence, and being positive in the face of bad things going on. So leaders, it is extremely important for you to be that leader of presence and to carry yourself in a way that you want your subordinates to follow you. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about leader performance. But first, let's hear from our sponsors at Downrange Supplements.
Downrange Supplements. As the brand of the troops, we produce only the highest quality supplements conducive to mission effectiveness. Whether it's our fully dosed pre-workout, recovery and rehydration, or Mermite protein, it's time to continually improve your fighting position with Downrange Supplements. Go to www.downrangesups.com today and take your training to the next level.
Hey folks, welcome back to Leader Talk. I'm SEAC retired John Wayne Troxell. The topic of today is leadership. And segment 2 here, we are going to talk about leader performance, which is absolutely crucial in inspiring and motivating those people under you to maybe one day want to replace you or to aspire to reach their untapped potential and become something they never thought they could be. When leader performance, it's all about setting the example. And again, much like driving culture, you set that example through your actions, through demonstration, showing people how to do things right. And in some cases, you don't even have to talk through it. It's not so much about lecture, it's about what you do every day to show what right looks like to your people. And speaking of lecture, yes, as a leader, sometimes there has to be one-way communication as you're trying to develop subordinates. But more so than not, it needs to be a dialogue. As a leader, you want to get the feedback from the people that you are in charge of. You want to know how they're feeling. You want to know how they think the organization is growing and how their piece of the pie is helping with the growth of that organization. So that means as a leader, in terms of leading by example and performance, as much as what comes out of your mouth, what you absorb in your ears is as important. And that means listening to your people. Now, we talked in the mindset episode of vision. And I'm going to expound on that a little bit here. So as a leader, we know, based off that mindset, that you have to have a vision, know where your organization is, know where you want to go, and then a path to get there. And so vision is really a telescope. You're looking out into the future, trying to see what is in the art of possibility for you and your organization and where you can go. And in a military context, as I've said before, that's being best prepared for the conditions you could face in combat. In a business perspective, the necessary steps you take to outpace the competition. And then with that telescope, you use a microscope on every day to focus on things that will get you to that telescopic view of the vision. So critical tasks every day as a leader that you get after. And in a military context, we call this the necessary tactics, techniques, and procedures to be best prepared for the threats you could face. So every day as a leader, you have to have microscopic tasks that you can focus on and that your people can focus on that will ultimately get you to that telescopic view of the vision. And then a leader that is leading through example and leader performing, you got to be optimistic that the future looks bright. Nobody wants to work for a SAC. Nobody wants to work for a Debbie Downer. They want somebody that understands that, hey, bad things are going to happen to us, but we're going to get through it. And we're going to find a way forward. And good leaders do that. They find a way forward. In the face of adversity, they will look for how do we get beyond this and how do we continue to grow and develop. So leader performance isn't so much what you say, but what you do every day to inspire and to build cohesion within the team and ultimately motivate people that want to be fired up about coming to work, but more importantly about being on your team. Okay, we're going to take another quick break and we're going to hear from our sponsors at PME Hard Consulting. And when we return, it's going to be about persistence, the final P. Hey folks, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Leader Talk. I want to take a quick moment to talk about leadership. At PME Hard Consulting and Lead, we offer top-tier leadership development and coaching. With over 60 years of combined military and leadership experience to lean on, along with certifications in the Power of Positive Leadership, Power of Positive Teams, and the Energy Bus programs by best-selling author John Gordon, we offer training that will help you cultivate positive, impactful leadership within your organization. To learn more or to schedule your leadership workshop, head to www.pmehard.com and start building a better, more effective leadership team today. Hey folks, welcome back to Leader Talk. SEAC retired John Wayne Troxell here. We're talking leadership. In the first two segments, we talked about leader presence. We talked about performance by a leader. And in this segment, we're going to use the word persistence. And persistence in balancing the art of influence, the art of leadership. Now, to give you a quick definition, my definition, the art of leadership is balancing the humanity aspect of leading, meaning you are dealing with human beings. You are dealing with people that you are responsible for, balancing that humanity aspect with the necessary accountability of building a winning organization. Whether it's in business, trying to outdistance your competition and be successful, or in a military context, how to fight and win. Balancing that. So the humanity aspect involves a leader being empathetic, a leader being compassionate, a leader that truly cares and gives a shit. All right, that's about people. That's the humanity aspect of that. And then the accountability is the necessary discipline and strive for efficiency that will build, when you combine the two together between that humanity and accountability, will build the necessary proficiency and growth in the organization that you can get to a band of excellence, and you can get your subordinates, one, to buy in and understand that they're part of this thing, but two, for them to continue to grow and develop as the organization does, so that one day they could potentially move up into positions of increased responsibility. So too many times leaders get the imbalance wrong, and that's where problems run in the organization. Now, there's some leaders that are all about that empathy and compassion and a little light on discipline and accountability. And, they want to be popular, and dare I say, they want to be more about likership than leadership. Those kind of leaders can create a sense of entitlement into their subordinates because it's all about the people and less about the job and the mission at hand. And when that sense of entitlement gets into your subordinates, when that entitlement is not met, then it can create problems with morale. It can create, obviously, problems with efficiency in day-to-day operations. But then if you have a leader that's all about the accountability, all about the discipline, and very light on the empathy and compassion, the humanity aspect, then you probably got a toxic environment on your hands. And again, that in itself can create problems where people don't want to come to work. It can harm morale. It can harm efficiency and things like that. Good leaders understand that they have to be persistent in balancing that humanity and accountability. And some days you may have to put your foot down and be a little stern with your folks and everything because things aren't going too well. And you have to all of a sudden get them back into a position where they understand that the mission is important. And then there's, other days that you can take it a little easy on them because things are going swimmingly well with the business or the mission or whatever. And you can peel back a little bit and celebrate your people and things like that. But a good leader understands how to balance that. Now, the other thing about leader persistence is delivering the why to your subordinates. I can tell you this from a military context, if the troops know why they are doing something, why am I deploying to this remote location, this dangerous area? Why am I going to be there for X amount of time? And what kind of living conditions am I going to be in? They can be the worst living conditions under the toughest enemy in the worst country in the world. But if the troops know why they're doing it, they may not like it, but they will accept it and they will get after the mission in the best way possible, like troops have done historically. So the leader has to deliver the why. But it's also in terms of a leader that's reporting to someone higher than you, whether that's a higher level commander or your boss in business or whatever, you've got a responsibility in terms of persistence of gaining the pulse of the people within the organization. And how do you do that? By engaging, by being out, talking to people. Again, like I said before in the previous segment, being about dialogue more so than lecture, and getting out and understanding what concerns subordinates may have, or what are some friction areas that you may need assistance with from your higher headquarters or your higher level boss or whatever. And then in terms of persistence, a leader has to have faith over fear. Has to have faith that they are going in the right direction. And sometimes when you're going in a certain way and people don't like it, it can be unpopular. But if this is a proven method that you've seen in the past, in the end state will be something that the entire organization can look at and say, you know what, I didn't agree with this initially, but I see what it took to get us here, and I get it now. Too many times leaders, when starting to face pushback on some things, will let fear overcome that faith. And a good leader, a leader that is persistent in getting after their leadership philosophy and their approach to building organizational excellence, will get after faith over that fear and not be deterred in the face of that. So that's it for this week's episode. We talked leadership, and we talked about the 3 Ps: leader presence, leader performance, and leader persistence. And good leaders will understand that every day you've got to practice these kind of things, and you've got to get out. You've got to be the example. You've got to have a certain aura about you that motivates people. And ultimately, you got to be persistent in mastering the art of influence of people and developing winning organizations. Okay, it's time for our Warrior Shoutout. And if you haven't seen in the news recently, the new senior enlisted advisor to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Kane, has decided that he is going to select a new SEAC. The current SEAC, SEAC Troy Black, United States Marine Corps, hasn't done anything wrong. He's a phenomenal leader, and he is doing the duties of the SEAC, but Chairman Kane has said, I'm going to go in another direction, and I'm going to select a new SEAC. So my Warrior shout out goes to my good friend Troy Black, former Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, combat veteran, just a phenomenal leader who leads through their presence, performance, and persistence. I say thank you, Troy, for your decades of service, and good luck to you as you move on to retirement. And the other Warrior shout out is to the incoming SEAC. Navy Fleet Master Chief Dave Isom, current U.S. Indo-Pacific Command Senior Enlisted Leader, has been selected by Chairman Kane to serve as the 6th Senior Enlisted Advisor to the Chairman. Dave is a phenomenal warrior, a Navy SEAL, served in some elite Navy units, has extensive combat experience, extensive experience in the joint and multinational world, and he's going to do a great job. So my Warrior shout out goes to both of those gentlemen. God bless you both, and it is an honor to call you both friends. All right, folks, that's it for this week. Remember, if you like what you see on here, give us a shout out. Follow us on YouTube, subscribe to us, and then if you really want to get more about what we're doing here, go to pmehard.com and check us out. If you're looking to change your lifestyle, looking to get after a more healthy you, go to downrangesupplements.com to check out what they have to offer. All right. Thank you all so much. God bless you all, and God bless America. Boom.